Good morning, everyone, and welcome to webinar number 3 of our Spring 21 series, Smart H2, looking at hydrogen opportunities emanating from energy transition. As we move towards our goal of net zero in line with the EU targets and EU objectives by 2050, where are the opportunities, not just for Northern Ireland, but for all of the other partner countries involved in the work that we're doing and across Europe? And how will those opportunities differ geographically? How will those opportunities differ technically? And that's what we're covering in today's webinar is let's look where the opportunities are. Let's look where we can make commercial opportunity and environmental opportunity for all of the different partners. I'm Paul McCormack. I'm the GenComm project manager in Belfast Met. And we're deriving what you saw there in the animation, looking at these hybrid hydrogen opportunities from renewables, how we get more renewables into the system and optimize those renewables, optimize the hydrogen, so it's a smart hydrogen optimization system. So we use hydrogen wiser, smarter, and better. In today's webinar, we have Thomas Byrne from the Department of the Economy who's doing the introduction. It's followed by James Carton from Dublin City University in Hydrogen Ireland, who will talk about large-scale energy storage. Followed up by Deanna Rain from High Energy and GenComm, and Deanna will talk about sustainable hydrogen supply and demand and scaling up. And the penultimate speaker then is Dr. Rory Monaghan in NUI Galway and GenComm. We're looking at specifically exploring opportunities in the Northern Ireland energy transition. What lessons are learned from across the global trends and where we can develop, where we can optimize. As we transition towards hydrogen as part of our goals, hydrogen is now a fundamental pillar of the energy policy of the EU. It's a key component of the integration of the system, especially the 10E framework, to unlock hydrogen's benefits in the EU hydrogen strategy and targets 6 gigawatts of electrolyser input by 2024 and 40 gigawatts by 2040. Those are significant targets within a 20 and 30-year period. Globally, hydrogen trucks, buses and cars are now being deployed at large scale across Europe. 1,600 trucks are being deployed in Switzerland by 2025. Manufacturers are targeting 100,000 hydrogen trucks in Europe within 10 years. Wrightbus here in Northern Ireland are deploying 600 fuel cell buses across Europe by 2023, targeting the supply of 3,200 fuel cell buses to the UK by 2024. And they're investing 22 million alongside 11.2 million of sterling to further develop and manufacture low-cost hydrogen buses. Those are the opportunities. Those are underpinned by what we look at as a global shift of regulators, investors and consumers, looking towards decarbonisation. How hydrogen is now receiving an unprecedented interest in investment and development. At the beginning of 2021, over 30 countries have released hydrogen roadmaps. The industry has announced more than 200 hydrogen projects and ambitious plans. Governments worldwide have committed more than the US dollars of 70 billion in public spending. Hydrogen more than ever is now playing an important role in the global energy equation in tackling climate change. Northern Ireland is uniquely positioned in the United Kingdom and Europe to become a leader in hydrogen deployment and technology. Abundant in many cases, untapped onshore and offshore renewable resources, modern gas and electricity networks, interconnection to both the UK and Ireland. How do we now use that to drive forward? Slide looking here at the hierarchy of energy efficiency. Where's the main goal for Europe? How do we play a part in reaching that goal and realise the opportunities and benefits? The EU energy strategy recognises this hierarchy of energy efficiency, electrification and the use of renewable modules. Green hydrogen especially. Member states are recognising this and providing support programmes for hydrogen mobility. Today's webinar will be looking at this. Today's webinar is to engage, not just to inform, but in all our webinars is also to receive. It's a two-way street. We have the chat function on the right-hand side. We welcome all of your input. We welcome your questions, your ideas, your thoughts. That helps stimulate a wider debate within the webinar today, but also in the digital footprint as we release the slides after today's presentation to everybody, and also the recordings next week. Our last series of webinars and this series is to stimulate that debate, to make sure everybody's better informed through our community hydrogen forum, and that we're better informed by input from yourselves. So use that chat function, please. As I said, all of the presentations will be available after today in the community hydrogen forum, and we'd love to hear from you. We encourage you to use all of the social channels, Twitter and LinkedIn, within the community hydrogen forum, Hydrogen Ireland, GenComm and others. How do we inform ourselves to make sure we're properly positioned to take advantage of these changes? As we look to a net zero emission in Northern Ireland, the questions we're asking, and we're looking to develop these solutions, is what will hydrogen's role be in the final energy mix of a future net zero emission Northern Ireland? What part of the supply chain and opportunities will Northern Ireland have specific interest and advantage in? Achieving net zero emissions is an immense challenge, and it is in the EU that this goal cannot be achieved without green hydrogen. It will be an important mix in the new hybrid solutions. Introducing hydrogen as the new energy vector isn't easy. It's going to be a challenge, and we're rising to that challenge with the support of all the partners in GenComm and the wider projects, working with the public authorities, industry and communities to make sure we make that just transition, that there are no stranded assets and as we move forward. I mentioned earlier about some of the investments. France has recently announced 7 billion of funding for hydrogen, with 27% of that earmarked for transport. And it targets building and establishing 100 refueling stations by 2023. Portugal has announced between 7 and 9 billion of investment in hydrogen technologies by 2030. The UK is providing subsidy per kilogram worth RTF07, which provides up to £7.25 per kilogram alongside other cabinet support schemes. In the climate change summit last week, Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia, announced an investment of 20 billion for clean hydrogen. But importantly, he expects that 20 billion to return and lever in excess of $80 billion in investment. So it's not just investment to get the technology moving, it's to stimulate the market. And how they see hydrogen as creating the hydrogen valleys comparable to the American Silicon Valleys, and where they see that as a commercial opportunity for growth and development. We believe hydrogen has a major opportunity for Northern Ireland, and it offers significant opportunities. In reaching the zero CO2 goals, hydrogen is practically zero emission fuel for transport sector. It is well suited for heavy duty and high use applications where battery electrification faces significant challenges. It will create jobs and create commercial growth as we replace imported fossil fuels and displace that CO2 reductions. Hydrogen offers major long-term opportunity to export renewable resources, not only make Northern Ireland energy secure, but energy independent and a net exporter. Hydrogen is also a form of long-term renewable energy storage. And lastly, hydrogen can facilitate the integration of additional renewable energy into the system, increasing our green footprint, increasing our green renewables, and in turn, increase security of supply. Hydrogen, yes, but with our own slant. I talked earlier about how hydrogen will differ technically and geographically across Europe as energy demands change. But how do we develop what we call a smart hydrogen solution? Well, we not just produce hydrogen and use it. The first possible goal is we produce it better, we use it wisely, we store it, we distribute it, and we optimize that smart hydrogen, using it in a better way, more technical way, where we can optimize production and storage. We can actualize the community hydrogen form to maximize the energy outputs across all communities. We can further evaluate the parameters, performance, and benefits realization for different uses. Validate the P2X hydrogen technologies, looking at other opportunities, the power to question mark, where is it best to use, where is it most optimized. We can develop then also longer term strategies for the advancement and the adoption of hydrogen technologies. What next? Where's the next opportunity? Increase the technology deployment, increase the commercial return, and increase our social investment. We then use the hydrogen optimization support tool to map energy navigation routes for different opportunities in different destinations and make use of this energy system for our green destination. One of the other projects we're working on is how do we look at hydrogen to enable zero emission supply chains across industry working in partnership with academia and making sure we develop those links and develop those opportunities. Also then in Northern Ireland, developing what we call a H2CAT, the catalyst for hydrogen innovation, entrepreneurship and deployment, creating a pathway for Northern Ireland to be competitive on a global scale, creating that pathway to optimize our renewables opportunity and that indigenous mix of innovation and hydrogen to make sure that we're able then to compete globally. How do we then develop what Northern Ireland and others are used to, that innovation, but create innovation for sustainability? We're at a perfect time in the middle of a perfect storm where the EU Green Deal is announced. We have post-COVID growth targets, all based on green renewables and green opportunity. And how do we develop and embrace new business models that would help tackle our global challenges, address overexploitation and pollution, and extend our renewable resources? How do we then start looking at developing a circular energy economy? Apply circular thinking to all of our energy needs, energy demands, and energy uses to make them more cost-effective, more sustainable, and make that transition a reality. And our audience poll, we have a question up for you today, folks. Again, is to get the audience, in your feet. We're in what we call a new digital-first environment. This is our 8th webinar. We can't see the audience, but you can see us. We don't know whether you're doing your emails or you're sleeping or you're distracted. But the format of our webinars are a poll at the start, get the audience on their feet, get them engaged, and the speakers no more than 15 minutes, followed by a Q&A from everybody. And that keeps you engaged in the 4 different cycles when Thomas speaks, James, Diana, and Rory, to see where you can engage and where we get that communication across. And we leave the floor open. Something you can't do in a live audience is we leave the floor open through the chat. So the presenters can see and can take a litmus test of the audience. So in the audience poll, as we travel along our energy transition journey, where do you think our greatest opportunity lies in the short term? Is it decarbonising our energy system? Is it opening our energy system for more renewables integration? Number 3, is it the provision of greater energy security opportunities? 4, the commercial opportunities from innovation within the new energy value chain, or is there another? So your thoughts help shape the presenters today and their presentations, and give them that insight to the way you're thinking. It allows us to test the audience to see what you think. So 14% of you think decarbonising the energy system is important. 60% of you, a massive 60%, think opening our energy system for more renewables integration. 12% think the provision of greater energy security is the main goal. And commercial opportunities from innovation in the supply chain is 16%. So as we draw towards the end of the poll, over half of you think that hydrogen, greatest opportunity as we travel the transition journey, is how we integrate more renewables. How do we overcome possibly the gridlock that the national grid, because of the infrastructure needed there, acts as a barrier, acts as a hurdle for greater integration. So it's a good litmus test where you, the audience, think over half of you think that our energy system needs more renewables, and how do we overcome that? So folks, thank you very much for that. And I'll ask Thomas, James, Diana, and Rory, as you go through your presentations, reflect on that. Over half the audience want to see more renewables in that energy system and how we overcome those obstacles.